Welcome to the weekend edition of Your Morning. Thanks so much for joining us. Here's what's coming up for you today.
Tick season has started, so we have tips on how you can protect yourself from the risk of Lyme disease.
Also coming up, registered dietitian Nishta Saxena will give us her take on some nutrition trends going around social media.
We'll also look at a company called Deep Sky, which looks to roll out carbon capture access and technology right across Canada.
But first, tips for fostering a loving and accepting environment for children who identify as LGBTQ2S+.
Well, for many teens who identify as LGBTQ+, coming out to your family is one of the hardest things. This is especially true if you are growing up at a home where you don't feel comfortable expressing your thoughts and emotions. So how can we foster an environment that's loving and accepting, since we know it's crucial for a child or anyone's mental health and well-being? Parenting expert Bethlehem Hart joins me now with some answers. Great to have you in studio.
Thank you. Great to be here. Thank you.
So your daughter came out to you when she was 13. We would love to hear more about what that was like for the whole family and for you and how that conversation went.
Okay, so my background is in children's mental health, so it kind of come through with that lens. And she was 13 and wanted to get her hair cut. She had very long, curly hair, wanted to get a haircut, which is great. That doesn't mean anything, but as she got her hair cut, the stylist asked her, how do you like your hair? She goes, shorter. And then, how's that? Shorter. And I saw her transformation. She went from sort of my little girl looking really androgynous, and not that if a child wants to have a haircut it's going to mean anything, but I felt like she was making a statement. And then she asked if she could go to Pride Parade. So I said, oh, you know, how do you identify sexually? And she said, well, I'm pansexual. And I said, well, this is 10 years ago and I didn't really know. And I said, would you please educate me? And she said, well, it doesn't matter the sex or gender of the person, it's just the person. And I said, okay. And she said, how do you feel about that? And I said, you love who you love. That's your path, you know. But she said, I said, you know, my job as a parent was make sure that I've raised you to feel confident and be authentic to who you are, and you know, live your life authentically. And she thanked me and she said, Mom, I have friends who are scared to come out to their parents or have already and haven't been received well. So that was our conversation. But I think because I'd laid a bit of a foundation at home already anyway, that the kids could come to me with difficult conversations.
Yeah, you had a toolbox that I think a lot of people don't necessarily have. So we're hoping to add some tools to your toolbox at home today.
Definitely.
Bethlehem, you have some tips to share about what kind of language we can use in our homes to help build that type of supportive and open bond that you have with your child. What are some of your tips?
Right from a really young age is allowing kids to come to you with difficult things and how you respond to that. So if you have a little one that knocked over the cup or broke the lamp, if we have a big reaction to that, that's going to make them go underground. They're not going to feel comfortable coming to you. So if you show a reaction that's more positive, it sort of sets them up to feel like, oh, I can come to you with the bigger things. And as my kids got older, we had a phrase, and it was, Mom, I need to tell you something, but I'm worried you might be upset. I said, if you guys tell me that, 'cause I raised 4 children and a stepdaughter, so we've been through it. I said, if you guys tell me that, then I know I'm grounded. And so when they would come to me, then I'd say, thank you for sharing that. And thank you for trusting me with that, or that took a lot of courage to tell me that. I was like, and how do you want to handle it? Like trusting them that they could handle it. So how do you want to handle that, or do you need my help with this? And it allowed them to know that I had faith in them, but that they also could come to me. I wasn't going to overreact, and that I wanted a loving, trusting relationship with my kids. I wanted them to feel safe to come to me, because if they don't, it goes underground, and then they turn to maybe their peers, which is fine, but they're not going to be always give them the best advice.
You know, I hear a lot of you asking them questions. Really like open, honest, gentle questions, as opposed to telling them how you feel. And I think a lot of us, our inclinations when someone shares something with us is to say, well, I. And I didn't hear you say that at all. The only I heard you said was, how can I help you? That's pretty remarkable. There can obviously be some big feelings when your child comes out, including fear, fear of judgment, fear of pain and suffering from society and around them. how do we handle those feelings that we might be having before we talk to our child?
It can be tough because parents, not everybody is comfortable with it. It may not align to their values or their beliefs. And I always say go in with curiosity, but if the parent is feeling overwhelmed, work that through first, because the child really is not responsible to carry the emotional heavy lifting of the parent. And oftentimes parents be like, oh, I'm feeling grief, and now your child is like carrying the load of their comment to you. They're feeling like, oh, now I feel guilty about this. So work it through first, and so that you're in a good state to be able to talk to your child about it. And we can't change who our kids are, so we just want to embrace who they are and work through our own stuff if we need to.
I read one time that so many times children just want to know that they're cared for and that they're taken care of and that they're loved. And if you can offer them that in that moment, I think you're hitting so many milestones that so many parents don't. Bethaline, thanks so much for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It was an important conversation. And people can reach me at parentingbyheart.com if they want to talk more about this.
That's amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Coming up, the search for new carbon capture technology and why Canada's terrain is best suited to store emissions. A new technology can suck carbon directly out of the atmosphere and then store it underground. A Montreal-based company called Deep Sky is building the large facility that you're seeing right here. It's near Calgary. It's designed to pilot new carbon capture technologies. The most successful versions will then be rolled out across the country. So you're looking at something that's happening now. Joining us to explain how it works and why it's important is Alex Petra, the CEO of Deep Sky. Welcome to Your Morning.
Good morning, Anne-Marie. Thank you so much for having me.
What specifically will you be looking for when you pilot different versions of carbon capture technology?
Great question. Here at Deep Sky, what we're doing is we have a dozen of different direct air capture technologies, and we are deploying them in Alberta at our first commercialization center, which you currently see on your screens. And we are trying to test them to really understand which one of these technologies is best suited to the Canadian climate, which one is the most energy efficient, and which one realistically produces the highest purity of CO2 by sucking it out of the air. Once we are able to really test these technologies for the next 12 to 18 months, the plan is to really scale up these technologies and deploy them at commercial scale across multiple sites in Canada.
Carbon can't be stored just anywhere underground, is my understanding. In fact, if stored incorrectly, it could cause an earthquake because of all the pressure that builds up. So how would that risk be addressed if this technology were deployed across Canada? I mean, as you know, you've traveled from coast to coast to coast. We have different terrain and different climates.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And that is part of the work that we're doing here at Deep Sky. Fundamentally, we have stored carbon underground, and we have stored lots of things underground here in the energy industry for, dozens of years, probably since the 1960s. However, our team, which has a lot of geologists, a lot of PhDs, and a lot of scientists, is really looking for the safest places where we can actually have the highest storage potential throughout Canada. And what we've done over the past 2 years is really map out where all of these spots are. And now we are moving forward with figuring out exactly how to do this. So this winter is going to be very exciting. We're about to announce a couple of very exciting projects here in Canada in the next few months. And we fundamentally believe that we have identified some really good opportunities to actually get to gigaton removal and storage here in Canada.
So Alex, just for reference for everybody watching from home, have you already started storing carbon underground? Has this happened already?
The footage you're seeing is from our facility called Deep Sky Alpha. It is in Alberta, and it will be operational this summer. So as of this summer, we will actually begin not only carbon removal, which is actually sucking it out of the air through these very powerful fans, but also liquefying it and then putting it underground for storage. So the operation is actually going to start with the first facility called Deep Sky Alpha this summer, and then we will continue at commercial scale thereafter.
Is reversing the effects of climate change, or at least adapting the effects of climate change, as simple as removing carbon from the atmosphere? How much is known about the outcome of doing an operation like this?
Great question. Listen, ultimately, everything that we're facing these days, whether it's fires, droughts, severe storms, is the result of a large accumulation of CO2 in the atmosphere. So we definitely need to have a portfolio of solutions to this. Carbon removal, carbon capture are all very important elements of this. But carbon removal is essential because we've put a lot of CO2 into the atmosphere over the past hundreds of years. And realistically, to have a chance to reduce these effects, we need to remove every single ton of them. So as we work to remove it through direct air capture, as well as the portfolio of other methods that others are trying out there, we are working to actually reduce the CO2 concentration in the atmosphere, which means that we can reverse back some of the effects we're seeing today. Obviously, the segment right before was about the wildfire season being the second most intense in Canada in a really long time. And this is a small part, but is a very, very important part that we are trying to grow to scale to help exactly with that problem.
Alex Petra, CEO of Deep Sky, thanks for joining us on Your Morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
Ahead on Your Morning, Canada's tick population is surging. Ways to protect yourself from ticks and the risk of Lyme disease.
Take a scroll through any of your social media feeds, and you're bound to pass by some viral recipe or the next big wellness trend. The question always remains, do these trends actually work? Are they good for you? Well, registered dietitian Nishtha Saxena is back again this morning to debunk some of them for us. Great to have you back.
Great to be here.
I always learn so much in these segments, and the first one that we're talking about, the first trend that we're talking about today, is all about what people eat in a day. Check it out.
All my ladies, come on.
Look in your eyes, there's no stopping me. I want the time to it back, come rock with me. Don't want your snacks, I got your back. Don't cut 'em no slack, 'cause I'm running my back.
Okay, so you get the idea. We get like a 24-hour snapshot of what someone supposedly eats in a day. Nishtha, what do you think about this trend?
Well, I like what you said because it's very much supposedly because we're not actually in fact sure if this person's eating this in a day. I think this is really popular because many people, it's human curiosity. We want to see, oh, well, this person that I follow and I like, what are they actually doing in a day? I think what happens for people is they somehow twist that into thinking, well, if I just follow this pattern, I will somehow look the same as this person or achieve the same results as that person. And that's where it gets to be something I really don't want you to invest your energy into.
And why? Why don't you want us to invest in that?
Well, because it can be interesting to look at what other people eat. You can get recipe ideas and meal ideas, but just because you eat exactly the same as somebody else or try to follow their same pattern, it does not mean that you're going to look the same as them. You may not have the same results as them, and it may not even be appropriate for you.
Yeah, there's the challenge I think I always worry about is when you watch what someone else eats in a day. What if what they're eating isn't healthy or it's disordered? Yes. And then you can fall into that trap not even knowing that that's what you're doing.
Absolutely. And this person was in a particular outfit while they're showing you what they eat in a day, which is kind of hinting at, if you eat this way, your body may look this way. And we really, really want to kibosh that because it's something that's absolutely not true.
Okay, next social media trend is all about seed cycling. Take a look.
If you're struggling with a hormonal imbalance, or maybe you don't know that you are, but you're experiencing things like irregular periods or non-existent periods, acne, PCOS, thyroid disorders, chronic fatigue, the list goes on. Please consider the habit of seed cycling because it is one of the easiest ways you can support your hormones naturally. It helps support balanced hormones.
So supporting your hormones naturally. I can already hear the eye roll coming from you.
Yeah.
Nishtha, what do you have to say about this?
I mean, hormones have never been a hotter topic on social media. And what we're seeing here is really this trend that, you can solve all your hormonal problems by just eating these specific foods. So seeds do, in fact, have lots of different nutrients, protein, fiber, and some of them have phytoestrogenic compounds, such as flaxseed. But to just imply here that, you make these little energy balls and at certain points in your menstrual cycle, if you eat them, that you'll be controlling or bettering all of these different, improving your health conditions like PCOS or menstrual problems is really, unfortunately, not true. There's no evidence to support that eating these seeds during specific phases of your menstrual cycle will actually change anything.
Well, I think it's important to note, too, that this is a medical kind of zone where women can really struggle to get answers.
Yes.
And so you go onto social media thinking, okay, maybe someone here will finally get me because you can feel gaslit going to the doctor or feel like nobody really gets you.
Yes.
So then you try these things, you're not necessarily going to see any sort of results.
Yeah, and I think in this case, you know, if you wanted to try and eat more seeds in your diet or have them at certain times or use them as snacks, that can be wonderful, but you really want to get the idea out of your head that this will somehow magically balance your hormones. You're right, you absolutely need to talk to professionals, and you need to actually advocate for yourself in this particular area, of course, as you're talking about now, because it's a very hot topic, and we need to do more for women's hormonal health.
We do. Okay, this next topic on social media is using, instead of flour to make pizza crust, protein. Take a look.
If you're craving pizza and want to hit your protein goals, this viral chicken crust pizza exceeded all my expectation. I'm definitely going to be eating this probably every single week, and you should too.
Okay, so protein, it's like hormone health and protein is my entire feed right now. Is this an option that we should be considering? What do you think?
I think it's kind of fun, actually. I think it's really interesting and fun. I did actually try it myself because I wanted to know. It actually tasted great.
Really? Because ground chicken can be weird.
Well, that is something that I would highly recommend, is using something other than ground chicken. Sometimes the transmission of salmonella can be high with ground chicken, but we also want to make sure you're really, really cooking it properly. And, you know, it's just kind of a novel thing to mix up. We make homemade pizza a lot at home, so I think it's fun. I think it's interesting. Should all your pizza have a protein crust? Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
No, it's absolutely up to you, but it can be a fun way, a novel thing to do with the family.
Okay, fun to try. You may have also heard this term, crunchy teen. This is what I'm talking about.
So let me show you 3 snacks I will never get as a crunchy teen. Absolutely no one is getting skinny with these with all the inflammatory oils. Lesser Evil is free from any inflammatory oils. All the inflammatory ingredients, artificial flavors, and corn syrup.
Okay, so what does this mean to be a crunchy teen?
It's really meant that teenagers that are focused on nutrition and health, and they're trying to promote on their social media that they're sort of experts or they have a strong interest in them. And it kind of goes back to that what I eat in a day, because it's really trying to lure other teenagers in and say, hey, if you want to be healthy and, you know, just like me, don't do these things and do these things. Now, the nugget here is that teens can be, it's great that they're interested in their own health and eating, but it can be a very slippery slope, because obviously what she was saying in this video is not necessarily scientific or factual, it's just her opinion. And when you get into having hard rules, cutting out food groups, saying never do this, or using words like toxic, that can be very confusing to teenagers and young people, because they start to believe that, you know, food can be bad and we don't do bad or good when it comes to food. They can start restricting. And again, there are some red flags here that you want to watch out for.
Yeah, I see right away that there's this push towards being skinny and being small and only eating certain things.
Yes.
And this is a huge shift that we've seen over the last couple of years on social media. And that falls into a really dangerous territory.
It really does. And, you know, teenagers and adolescents are already so vulnerable, and we already know the risks that are associated with them being on social media. And this is sort of an additional risk of them starting to think, well, I guess I should be eating like that because this teenager is telling me that. We really want to be there as parents and you know, caregivers to make sure our teens know what to actually eat.
Okay, Nishta, thank you so much for coming on this morning.
You are very welcome.
Ticks are thriving in more parts of our country than ever before, and with that comes an increased risk of Lyme disease. The Public Health Agency of Canada has now listed more than 1,100 different municipalities as high risk for Lyme exposure, with hotspots that include southern Quebec, Ontario, and Nova Scotia. You can see them on the map there. So how can you protect yourself? Well, here to explain is Dr. Sarah Keating with the Canadian Lyme Disease Foundation. Well, that's not her, but this is her. Good morning and welcome to your morning.
Good morning, Anne-Marie.
We brought this in just for you. I do hope you appreciate it.
I do.
Yeah, I'm sure you've seen your fair share. We have seen this steady rise in recent years of both Lyme disease and tick reporting, and that's according to data from the Public Health Agency of Canada and etick.ca, which, I mean, the fact that it has its own website is amazing. Why is this happening? Why the increase?
Well, ticks travel north on migratory birds. That's one of the ways they arrive in Canada from the United States. And now that we have warmer winters, the ticks can survive over the winter. Whereas before, they would die over the winter and then they'd have to come back again with the migratory birds. So we didn't have that many. So that is one of the major reasons why we're seeing the increase in ticks.
So we know that there are increases out there. We know where the hot spots are. What are some of the things that we can do to protect ourselves when we are out enjoying the summer months?
Well, I should say that the black-legged tick, or the deer tick, and in Western Canada, it's the Western black-legged tick, carries Lyme disease and other infections. So we definitely want to be aware of ticks and protect ourselves. So but we also want to get it outside because the weather's getting nice. So first of all, clothing. You should wear long pants tucked into socks, long-sleeved tops, light-colored clothing so you can see ticks. And then it can be helpful to use sprays, so insect repellent sprays that contain DEET or a keratin. Or you can use natural sprays, but they need to be reapplied more frequently.
Okay.
The other thing is when you're walking outside, avoid long grasses, or if you're in the woods, don't go crashing through the bush because that's where the ticks will have more chance to attach to get on your clothing. And stay on the path if you're hiking.
Stay out of the tall grasses. We get home, how do we properly check for ticks? Where are the key areas that we should be focused on?
So, really, you want to do a head-to-toe tick check, and they like places like creases, like under your arms, in your groin, in your scalp, because
Scalp is the one I don't think about.
Yes, they hide in your hair, and then it's very important to check small children who can't check themselves, and check your pets as well, because what may happen is even if your dog, for example, is on preventative medication, the tick may be in the dog's fur and come into the house, jump up on the couch, or, even if they don't, that the tick can crawl around and get on you. You will have already checked yourself and you won't be thinking about it.
So let's say you are bitten. What are the next steps that you need to do to prevent Lyme?
So when you see an attached tick, remove it as soon as possible with fine-nosed tweezers. And actually, the Canadian Lyme Disease Foundation sells tick removal kits. So it's good to have something like that on hand when you're hiking or spending time outdoors. Grasp the tick as close to the skin as possible and pull straight up, and then save the tick. That's really important because you may want to get that tick tested to see what organisms are inside it later on that may have infected you. You can put the tick in the freezer. It's good to label it with the date. Then watch for a rash, but not everybody gets a rash. Not everybody with Lyme disease gets a rash, but about half of people do, and it doesn't always look like a bullseye. About 9% of people have a bullseye, but you may just have a red inflamed circle or some other sort of rash.
Okay, and final question, when you save the tick, where am I taking it to?
So if you do develop symptoms or if you're concerned, you can send it for testing to, unfortunately, it's not covered under our healthcare, but there's a company called Genetics, and their website is genetics.ca, and they are very good.
Okay. Dr. Keating, it's important information to have this time of year. I appreciate you being here today.
Thank you very much.
Next week on Your Morning, we'll tell you about some of the events that shouldn't be missed at the biggest Pride Festival in Canada.
Good morning and welcome back to Your Morning Weekend. Thanks for starting out your day with us. We've got another great half hour ahead for you.
We do. Coming up, a preview of the hit musical adaptation of Beetlejuice, which is now playing in Toronto.
Plus, as beef gets more expensive, food expert Jason Skrobar gives us some ideas of other proteins that you can throw on the grill this summer that might be a little bit easier on your wallet.
But first, more on a Globe and Mail investigation into the black market that is selling access to Meta's hacked Facebook and Instagram accounts. New investigation from the Globe and Mail out this morning says some Instagram and Facebook users are regaining access to their hacked accounts for cash. The investigation found some people with connections at Meta are selling access to an internal account recovery program. And some of those middlemen are earning hundreds of thousands of dollars in the process. For more on what this investigation uncovered, we're joined in studio once again by Catherine Blaisbaum, investigative reporter with the Globe and Mail. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You describe what you found as lucrative and black market account for account reinstatement. This is for Meta users. So how does this program even work?
So basically, when users get their accounts hacked or disabled for community standards violations, they are finding that they aren't getting prompt service. So they're turning to this underground economy of brokers who collude and co-conspire with Meta insiders. Those insiders have access to an internal mechanism whereby they can issue a request, and that request will expedite their account reinstatement. So basically, for a fee, you can, through this underground economy, regain access to your account.
And just to underscore, this is not authorized by Meta.
This is not authorized by Meta. No, it is not.
And some of these brokers that you found, I mean, these aren't just adults that are working for the company. You have found, I mean, a remarkable case even here in Canada.
Yeah, so there was a really intriguing case that we found, a court case where Meta actually sued a young Ontario man named Jacob Jones. And when he first came into Meta's crosshairs, he was 16 years old.
So
he was a high school student. Yeah, and then he started getting cease and desist letters, and they were, accusing him of offering these unauthorized account reinstatement services and accusing him of making hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more. And so they ended up settling the case just last year. And you can tell from the court records that Meta is using these legal proceedings, which they have in Ontario, and we also found a couple cases in Nevada, where they're not just looking to shut down the brokers, they're also looking to get a court order to compel them to disclose who it is that they're working with on the inside. So they kind of want, it's a bit of a fishing expedition to see who's on the take on the inside.
Sure, and they want the power of the courts and the legal system to do that for them. But Meta, I'm used to Meta knowing everything, and I assume they know everything. How come they don't know who's doing this inside their own company?
Well, it is an enormous company, right?
Yeah.
So, it's a $1.75 trillion company market cap. It's got upward of 75,000 employees around the world. So a lot of them have access to this oops mechanism, right? So there's a lot of opportunity for it to be abused. And like you said before, Meta absolutely does not approve or sanction these services whatsoever. They go against their policies, and they fire people if they find out that they're doing this, and they are sort of going after them in the courts as well.
Catherine, is there any look at Meta by saying, our process to reinstate your account is so cumbersome that people have taken illegal means to try and access it? Have they responded to poor customer service?
Right. I mean, I did ask them, of course, about this because there have been so many complaints. We found so many court proceedings where not just Meta suing the brokers, but Instagram account users and Facebook users suing Meta for not providing customer support.
Right.
And so it does stand to reason. Why won't they just offer better customer support? And we spoke with a bunch of industry experts, and sort of the common thread in their thinking is because they don't have to. They are enormous, and they don't necessarily want to devote resources to this.
It is a fascinating investigation. All of yours are. So thank you for coming on Your Morning to tell us about it. A reminder that report is out today. You'll find it in the Globe and Mail. Coming up, the hit musical adaptation of Beetlejuice is now in Toronto. We get a preview. Say his name 3 times, nominated for 8 Tony Awards and having thrilled audiences in over 650 performances worldwide, the smash hit musical Beetlejuice has risen from the dead right here in Toronto. Take a look.
Beetlejuice!
It's showtime. Welcome to a show about death. I'm gonna need some help.
Inspired by Tim Burton's cult classic 1988 film, the musical follows Lydia Dietz, a strange and unusual teenager whose life takes a ghostly turn after meeting a recently deceased couple and a mischievous demon with a thing for stripes. Joining us to talk more about the production this morning are Veronica Fioni, who plays Miss Argentina, and Julia Sunai, the show's associate musical director. Welcome to the show, you two.
Hey. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Okay, so Veronica, this show is obviously huge. Our teleprompter operator, Vanessa, saw the show last night, said it is now one of her favorite musicals, that it is funny and it is engaging and it is wild. So your character, Miss Argentina, obviously memorable from the film. Take me through the show. What can audiences expect, and how do you prep for a role like this?
Prepping for a role like this can be difficult, right? Like, there's so much that goes into it physically, there's so much that goes into it vocally. So I would say most importantly is staying true to the text, which is like whatever is written on the page, trying to bring that to life. in the movie, Miss A has such a small part, and yet she became such a favorite to so many audiences.
Why do you think that is?
I think she's funny, she's kooky, she's painted blue from head to toe, she's got this red hair, and she's got a little bit of sass. And so when Lydia and Charles arrive in the Netherworld, she realizes right away that they shouldn't be there, and she tries her very hardest by being honest and caring, which I think is like really important in the moment that it comes in the show. So I think just like being myself while also being painted blue and being like, what do audiences love about this person, and how do I make that read to the 4,000 people in the audience every night?
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's really cool. Julia, the musical, it's been nominated for Best Score at the Tony Awards in the past. The music in this plays such a huge role in capturing just the show's quirky presence and its emotional depth. So how do you bring that? How do you take that movie and bring that to the stage?
Yeah, I mean, the music was created by Eddie Perfect. Our orchestration's by Chris Kukul. And I think what's so great about the musical is it really explores so many genres of music. We have everything from tango, ska, death metal, rock, and you can really see that in the first opening number. It's like a fantasia of different musical styles. Luckily, we've been traveling for almost 3 years on the road, and we've had the same orchestra. There's
That's
10
cool.
musicians in the band. No one has left. It's been an amazing 3-year journey. They're all super, super talented and really specialized in those different genres of music. And of course, we have this amazing, talented cast of singers and dancers that all bring a very unique flair to their singing quality, and each really make all of the songs their own. So it's just like, it's such fun music, and it's upbeat and it's lively, and it's just a lot of fun.
It's a great show.
Yeah.
Okay, so take me through the part before you get on stage. So Veronica, for you have this big like solo dance moment, this song and dance moment. So before you get on stage, you mentioned to me before we got on the air how short your call time is before you get there. So what do you do in that time right before the show, before the curtain rises?
It's mostly about like connecting with the people in your space. So I share a dressing room with other women in the company, and we're connecting, we're laughing, we're doing our makeup for the top of show, we're settling in, we're physically warming up, we're vocally warming up. It's just sort of re-engaging with the people you're going to spend the next 2.5 hours on stage with, and sort of establishing that community and just before we present,
And that chemistry.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Julia, for you, what does that time before the show look like?
Yeah, I think it's just like focusing. I sometimes feel like this responsibility as a sort of a scene partner with the actors on stage, sitting at the podium and conducting the show, just being really like focused, mentally available both to the orchestra, but also to the cast. So it's just like, changing in your blacks, getting focused, thinking about the music, and really feeding off of the energy from the audience, because they're right behind me, and just, really getting excited for the 2.5-hour extravaganza we're about to take.
That's amazing. Well, I know how dedicated you are, Julia. A side note for our viewers, Julia and I actually go way back. I didn't realize this till you came here today, because I didn't connect the names, but like 20 years ago,
literally,
if not more, Julia played piano for me at the Kiwanis Music Festival in Calgary when I was singing. So it's really cool to see you here. It's great to have two great Canadians on the couch this morning who are presenting this incredible musical to fans here in Toronto. Congratulations, you guys.
Thank you.
So much.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, and if you guys would like to see it, Beetlejuice is playing at the CAA Theatre in Toronto until July 19th. For more information, visit mirvish.com.
If you are looking for a book to get lost in, stop what you're doing, we've found it. Broken Country is the story of a woman trapped in a love triangle between the man she's married to and the man she first gave her heart to. It is heavy on nostalgia, romance, suspense. Broken Country is on the bestsellers list and in Reese Witherspoon's book club. The author behind all the buzz is Clare Leslie Hall, who is joining us from Dorset in southwest England. Good morning to you.
Oh, hi, Lindsay. It's so lovely to see you.
You as well. I love a good origin story, and your origin story involves Magnus the dog. Magnus helped inspire this entire book, I understand, after he chased some sheep. There's Magnus, and made a farmer very angry. So walk us through what happened here.
Yeah, it was literally like, and funnily enough, it happened yesterday, Naughty Magnus, 7 years later. My husband was running in the fields behind our house. It was lambing season. He had Magnus with him, and Magnus was just a puppy then. And he started chasing some lambs, and the farmer threatened to shoot him. Oof. Unfortunately, that did not happen. But what did happen was this very vivid love triangle popped into my head. And I could see, literally, I could see the farmer and his wife and the little boy running towards them looking for his lost dog. And for some reason, I had the thought that the boy reminded the couple of the child they'd recently lost in an accident. And I also could sense there could be a really powerful physical attraction between the boy's father and the farmer's wife. So it was literally like this, a love triangle fell out of the sky, and I had to write it.
Wow. So yeah, I want to ask you a little bit more about this love triangle. This is between Beth, Frank, and Gabriel. Who are they, and how do they intersect?
So I think one of the questions I was asking myself was, is it really ever possible to love two people at once? And to answer that question, I had to create two men who are really the polar opposites of each other. But crucially, they connect to Beth. So you've got Gabriel, who's the sort of posh boy from the big house, aristocratic, but he's also romantic, poetic, creative, just like Beth. And they fall wildly passionately in love when they're 17 and 18. And then you've got Frank, who's a complete opposite. He's this earthy farmer, and it goes wrong with Gabriel, and she ends up with Frank, and he introduces her to the landscape. He's funny, he's down to earth, he's a devoted father. And she really, really sort of comes to love the farm and its life and the wildlife just as he does. And so she has this very impossible choice between these two really very good men.
And I love that it's two really good men, because oftentimes these characters, one, you can see something, you're like, ooh, don't like that, but these are two really good men. You talk about the farm. I want to ask you about your research for this one, because I understand you shadowed local farmers, you went milking, lambing you just talked about. Lambing in particular, I mean, what is lambing for those that don't know? What were you doing?
So what I was doing, it was literally a baptism by fire, because I arrived very early one morning with a farmer, and he just said, can you help out? And I was holding this ewe's head, and while he was whipping out a couple of lambs, it was a difficult breech birth. And so basically you're just going around helping the farmer deliver the lambs, the ones that are sort of difficult. And it was absolutely magical. And I could see with the farmers when I was milking, when I was combine harvesting, that they would always take time in their day to sort of stop and say, oh, look, and it would be like a red kite soaring into the sky. So I felt it was a real privilege having that time, and it made me understand how connected they are to the land and the wildlife.
Yeah, agreed. My father-in-law is a farmer, and he has those moments too where he can take a step back and show us, the earth, the soil, and really feel it. I want to show everyone the cover, which we've been showing, but you have this, which is that stamp of approval, that boost from Reese Witherspoon, which is huge. I mean, she said she read it in one straight shot. It brought her to tears, and she did pick it as one of her book club reads. What does it mean to you to be part of that club?
Oh my goodness. I mean, everything. It's like, it's an author's dream, of course, but I love what Reese's Book Club does for authors, for readers, for women generally. It's just been and I've followed it since its inception. So to get the call to say that Broken Country was going to be the March pick was mind-blowing, and it's just been an absolutely wonderful roller coaster ride. They're so supportive, so it's been amazing.
Well, congratulations, Clare Leslie Hall. Thanks for taking the time to chat with us today.
Thank you.
Coming up Monday on Your Morning, are you planning to host this summer? You're going to want to be watching, as we've got some ideas for you on summer gathering setups.
Summer is here, and that means barbecue season. But this year, your backyard cookout might look a little different. With the cost of beef soaring, that classic steak on the grill is quickly becoming a luxury. According to StatsCan, meat prices have taken a big jump since January, including Sirloin, top sirloin, and rib cuts. Pork rib cuts and chicken breast prices, those have also gone up, anywhere from almost 6 to 34%. So today, we've got Jason Skrobar coming to the rescue. He has tasty, budget-friendly beef alternatives, perfect for your summer feast. Hi.
Hi.
I'm so excited to eat what you have for us. 3 choices.
I'm really excited because these are all fun and you can use these for any kind of like a party, get together, whatever. The first one, this is actually a really good swap out, generally speaking, especially if you're in a hurry.
Yeah.
This is a rotisserie chicken. You go to the grocery store on your way home from work, you pick it up, it's already cooked, everything is done for you. You just have to shred it up and throw it into your pan. And what I did was I just added some seasoning. Now, if you have a bag of taco seasoning in your pantry, use that. Or I have cumin, coriander, salt, pepper, paprika, garlic powder, chili flakes. But
you kind of made your own.
You can customize it the way you want.
Okay. Can I ask everybody to scan the QR code if they want the recipes? Because you have graciously. It's okay. It's not wrong. You just forgot about it, and it's fine.
So I know you like spice, so I add a little bit of chili flakes in there. And what we're going to do to make it even more fun is we're going to add a little bit of cheese.
You're going to put the cheese in
right
now.
in here.
Okay.
And so it kind of melts and gets soft. And there you go.
A little bit of cheese for me. A little bit of cheese for the pan.
And then we bought these beautiful little soft taco shells.
You know what I like about these? These are, when you are in Mexico, these are the ones you buy from the street food vendors, and they're so good, so much flavor.
Authentic, and I have flour or corn. Which do you prefer?
I like flour.
Flour and flour. So I'm gonna get you to serve it. So add a little bit.
I always put too much.
No,
is that too much?
No, that's perfect.
Okay.
And then do you like avocado?
Yeah, I do.
I'm gonna put a little bit of homemade avocado crema on there.
Okay.
And this is just sour cream or yogurt with a little bit of avocado and lime juice.
Good tip. I'm gonna take this off the heat.
And then I'm gonna add, do you like
please.
jalapenos?
Yeah.
I'm gonna use my fingers.
Yep,
There you go.
totally fine.
And then we're gonna eat this, and then we're gonna walk over, because we have 2 more.
Okay, cheers.
We're gonna
What I like about these beef alternatives is that it doesn't feel like you're chincing out at all, right? People still get a flavorful, full meal.
And again, this one is so easy because it's, like I said, it's a rotisserie chicken. So it's already cooked. You don't have to do anything when you get home except throw it in the pan. And the cheese right in the pan kind of helps get it all nice and melty and beautiful.
That crema is good.
Okay, second one we have are my famous, they're not famous yet, but they will be, my famous turkey meatballs. So turkey is actually quite affordable, ground turkey. This is lean ground turkey. I added a couple things, just like with the chicken, customize this to however you like your spices. So I added a little bit of chili flakes and some garlic powder, some onion powder. But honestly, look into your pantry, see what's calling your name that night, add it to the mix. You roll them. What I did was I pan fried them on a cast iron pan, and then I finished them in the oven.
Okay.
So get some browning on the stovetop, throw them in the oven to finish.
I'm always nervous with meatballs and the cooking all the way through. So you meat thermometer?
So see, meat thermometer if you want, but honestly, you can also touch them if they don't give that much. You're pretty much good to go. Also, crack them open, take a look. If they're not done, throw them back in the oven.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so we're gonna take these, and what I did was
what are they on?
I took some ricotta, so just store-bought ricotta. I added it to my food processor, a little bit of olive oil, salt, and pepper, and I whip that up, and it becomes this really luxurious base for these meatballs.
Okay, we have a minute left, so I want to make sure we get this.
I've got this beautiful hot honey. It's in my cookbook, and I know you love it, so I wanted to add it to this.
It's so good, Jason. You've brought this on before, and I love it.
The combination of the honey and the like smooth ricotta, it's a delight.
Can I try some of the delight?
Please try that, and then I'm going to talk about...
Can I swap? While you do that, I'll do this? Okay.
I'm going to talk about these because I think veggie burgers get a bad rap a lot of times. But these, I know, right? But these are actually really good and again, really simple. I used sweet potato and zucchini, and then I added a little bit of panko. And then again, like with everything else here, I've spiced it up the way I like it, but you feel free to add whatever you like when you're making them. And then I added a really simple lemon yogurt on the bottom. So yogurt, lemon zest and lemon juice, a little bit of salt and pepper. I mean, these are all things.
You're turning us all into chefs. So that's it for us today on Your Morning Weekend. Don't forget, scan these QR codes so you'll receive your morning's newsletter, or you can listen to more great conversations on Your Morning, the podcast.
We have another fun week coming up. On Monday, auto workers at the Windsor Assembly plant returned to work after the latest shutdown caused by U.S. President Donald Trump's trade war. So, of course, we'll have the latest on that.
And then on Tuesday, Canada will kick off their final group stage match at the CONCACAF Gold Cup. Remember, every match is a step closer to the opening of the 2026 World Cup next summer.
And then on Wednesday, food expert and author Amy Rosen returns to our Your Morning Kitchen with some recipes inspired by her novel Off Menu.
Thursday, decor expert Amanda Aaron is here with some DIY summer upgrades you can make at home.
And then on Friday, plant expert Owen Reeves is back on Your Morning with tips on how to keep your plants happy while you're away on vacay.
It's going to be another great week. Thanks for spending time with us here on the weekend. We'll see you on Monday.